The gates of the prison creaked open and Chloe Sidney stepped out, clutching a small bag of belongings in one hand and a worn notebook in the other. The notebook was filled with letters she had written to Aaron over the years but never sent, along with sketches of a face she could only imagine, her son's. A face she hoped to recognize in the flesh someday. The crisp air bit at her cheeks, but she hardly noticed. She was free, yes, but the weight of her past felt heavier than ever. Her hands trembled as she boarded the bus back to Lake Town, the place that had chewed her up and spat her into the worst years of her life. She had no family waiting, no home to return to. But there was one thing drawing her back. Matthew. Her son. The boy who had been taken from her when he was just a baby. The boy she'd spent the last decade dreaming about, wondering if he even remembered her name. Chloe arrived in Lake Town just as the sun dipped below the horizon. It hadn't changed much in 10 years. Same quaint diner by the gas station, same narrow streets lined with old oaks, same stares from people who remembered the girl accused of murder. She ignored them, heading straight to the small apartment she'd rented in advance. The money she saved from braiding hair in prison wasn't much, but it was enough to start fresh. The next morning, she walked into the diner. Her heart pounded as she scanned the room, her eyes falling on a boy sitting at the counter with a plate of pancakes. His dark curls and striking blue eyes mirrored Aaron's so perfectly it made her breath catch. Matthew. Chloe hesitated, her feet rooted to the floor. How do you approach a child you haven't seen in 10 years? A child who doesn't even know you exist? Summoning every ounce of courage, she walked over and sat a few stools away. Hi, she said softly, her voice trembling. Matthew glanced at her, his brows furrowed. Hi. I couldn't help but notice. You look just like someone I used to know, she said, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. Matthew tilted his head, studying her. Do I know you? Chloe's throat tightened. Maybe. She stopped herself. I used to know your dad. The boy straightened, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. You're Chloe, aren't you? The woman from the stories. Her heart sank. What stories had Aaron told him? Did he think she was a monster? Yes, she whispered. Matthew stared at her for a long moment before asking, Did you really kill someone? The question hit her like a punch to the gut, but she met his gaze, her eyes welling with tears. No, she said firmly. I didn't. I swear on everything I have left in this world. Matthew studied her face, his expression unreadable. Then, to her surprise, he slid off the stool and wrapped his arms around her. I believe you, Mom, he whispered. Chloe broke down, sobbing into his shoulder. It was the first time in years someone had believed in her innocence, and it came from the person she needed it from the most. With Matthew's support, Chloe began rebuilding her life. She opened a small salon downtown, using her skills to earn an honest living. Word spread quickly about her talent, and soon the salon became a hot spot. Despite her growing success, she avoided Aaron. She couldn't face him, not yet. Aaron, however, couldn't stop thinking about her. Seeing her again had stirred something in him, guilt, regret, and an ache he couldn't ignore. What if she had been innocent all along? The thought haunted him. When the new sheriff reopened Blair's case, Aaron couldn't stay away. The old motel's security tapes had been misplaced for years, but they were finally recovered. The footage revealed a robbery gone wrong, with Blair caught in the crossfire. Chloe's supposed evidence had been nothing more than a coincidence. Aaron's world crumbled. He had abandoned the woman he loved, the mother of his child, without even giving her a chance to explain. Aaron found Chloe at her salon one evening, sweeping up after hours. She froze when she saw him, her guard immediately up. I heard about the case, he said quietly. I know the truth now. Chloe's jaw tightened. Good for you. Doesn't change anything. Chloe, I'm so sorry. should have believed you. I should have. Should have what, Aaron? She snapped, her voice cracking. Stayed. Fought for me. You didn't. And I've spent 10 years paying for something I didn't do. I know, he whispered. And I'll never forgive myself for it. But I want to make it right, if you'll let me. Chloe shook her head, tears streaming down her face. You can't make it right, Aaron. But you can be there for Matthew. He deserves that much. Aaron nodded, his heart breaking. I will. I promise. Over time, Chloe and Aaron found a fragile peace. Aaron proved himself as a father, and Chloe began to let go of the anger she had carried for so long. She was no longer the scared, broken girl she had been at 17. She was strong, independent, and determined to build a better life for herself and her son. Though their relationship would never be the same, there was hope for a new kind of connection. One built on respect, forgiveness, and the unbreakable bond they shared through Matthew. As Chloe watched her son laugh with Aaron one sunny afternoon, she felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in years. Happiness. For the first time in a long time, she believed in the possibility of a brighter future.